Hey, what's going on, guys? Charles Hutcherson with the hype. Today we have our fifth podcast, and we have a very special guest, Patrick Martinez. Man, I'm gonna bring him in right now. This is this guy. You can see him on YouTube doing some very big things, some cool things, man. I'm gonna bring him in, and he'll be able to plug some of his social media handles. But let's bring my guy in, Patrick Martinez. What's
What's
going
up,
on,
man?
boss?
What's up, man? What's up, Charles?
Hey, so wanted to give you an opportunity, kind of, for anybody who doesn't know you. Hey, man, I want to give you this opportunity to kind of uh, this, give him a quick background.
Right. So my name is Patrick Martinez. I currently live in Kenner, Louisiana, and I work for Bowling World in Kenner. So if you've ever heard the name McCorvey's, we're now Bowling World. I am 24. I've been running pro shops or working in the pro shop industry for 8 years at the end of this year. Uh, I am on staff with Columbia 300, on staff with Vice, as well as Genesis Bowling Products.
Okay.
Uh, and I am a level one or bronze level USBC coach, as well as a IPSIA certified pro shop operator.
Lots of knowledge, lots of knowledge. Pretty much what you just said there, man.
Yeah.
And what really kind of got you into bowling? Like how did you just stumble into a pro shop one day, man?
Bowling was realistically high school. Again, I was probably like 16 whenever I started bowling, like really, really seriously. But the couple years before that, it was realistically just getting into like things with friends and like having fun. Like I just started my first job whenever I was 15 or 16. So like I had them and the whole work group trying to like go out and like do bowling on like some nights after closing. I used to work in a pizza place. So we would go and close the shop down, and then we would go over to the bowling centers in Dallas, so Plano, Allen, and we just bowl for a couple hours. We'd probably bowl at Plano more often because it's still 24 hours, I'm assuming, but we would go basically to Plano and bowl late at night until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and then one day I met somebody that was throwing a ball and like curving it as well as hooking it, obviously. And it was just really intriguing to me to see that, and I started digging into it more and more. And over time, I just kind of went and I went and looked and see what the pro shop was all about and like what all the different balls were about, and it just kind of got me amused to the point where I was just kind of like, I want to know more. Like it was intriguing. It was something that I hadn't seen in the past, right? So like it's one of those things. It's like whenever you first see something and it's just like completely mind blowing, it just
Right.
kind of like entrapped me into this whole thought process of like what else is there to it.
Got you. And then, I kind of met you through Mr. Joe Finley.
Right. Yes.
Like
Yes.
that's kind of when I started to bump into you a little bit more. And I think for a lot of people, if you don't know Joe, like you kind of living under a rock, in my opinion. But
Right.
this guy, has just kind of done a little bit of everything. And I know you work with him a little bit too. Like he was one of those guys.
Yeah, so whenever I got into bowling, I spent probably the first 6 months going to a certain pro shop operator in the DFW area. And after I started kind of wanting to know more, I couldn't get information off of that pro shop operator. And I felt like I needed to know more to be able to improve my game. And this was, again, 6 months into me bowling. So I was like very, very much fresh. I didn't really know a lot of the people that I know now. And I went around through the whole DFW area, and that's when I started going more to Plano. A man named Chris Neal, he used to work for Dino Castillo. He was here, what, 2 podcasts ago? Dino?
Oh, Mr. Dino, yeah,
Yeah,
Dino.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So Dino was here 2 podcasts ago. So I used to go to Dino's shop in Plano, and I actually started learning from Chris Neal, just like the smaller things, like how to polish a ball, how to surface a bowling ball, how to hit a line, just period, or like how do pitches work and like directional wise, but like not anything to the point where like I was getting super detailed work and I was doing stuff that was really, really great. And then Dino at one point offered me a job, and I started apprenticing under Joe sometime in like 2016. I think it was like late 2016, 2017. I was apprenticing under Joe, and basically I spent most of my time working between 2 jobs as well as running the shop. And on top of that, I was also going to school at college for a couple months there. So I would basically go school, work, and then like from 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock onwards, it was just working in the shop with Joe Finley. I would bust out ball work with them, whether it was plug work, resurface work, hitting lines for him, putting layouts on bowling balls, ringing up people. I was talking about bowling ball numbers with people and covers and all that, and I was just kind of absorbing all the information that Joe has. And Joe's probably one of like the biggest assets that I tell people that I have, solely because of the fact that he is probably the biggest and smartest person when it comes to anything in the bowling industry. He knows everything. If there's a new ball coming, he knows about it. If there is something that's in the works, he knows about it. Just in general, Joe is like probably one of the biggest minds in the bowling industry. Super, super underrated when it comes to like nationwide. Like some people never heard of the name, and then whenever people that know those people that don't know the name talk to those guys, they're like, okay, no clue that was a thing, or like people like just didn't know. And I tell a lot of people nowadays, like I learned from a guy that if he missed the line, it was like 1 in a million type of thing, right? So like,
Yeah.
so like he trained me to be like on my stuff, right? I never missed the line whenever I was around him. I never made like resurfacing a ball. Like a lot of people think resurfacing a ball is easy, but like if you look at the process and look at how you do it,
Yeah.
you can make really simple mistakes and make a ball look really, really bad. So I tell people it's like stuff like that. He made sure that I was like in tone to be able to do those things. And then after some time learning under him, we had purchased as the bowling shops in Dallas, the Rowlett location that Joe now runs. And
Okay.
at that time, that's when I was taking over a full time. Like I was going to start taking over a full time position. So Dino actually put me in Garland at that time whenever Joe went over into Rowlett, and I was kind of figuring out what I was going to do, and I wanted to run a shop full time. I knew I wanted to. So
Okay.
I was running Garland full time for a while, and then I got moved over to Richardson. Just Dino, I guess, didn't see the performance, and I went from Richardson looking at other options, and now we're here in Louisiana running a shop for Bowling World and so on.
Okay, man. Awesome, awesome, man. So that Dallas scene, I know that was different within itself, and now this
Yeah,
Louisiana, is even a different beast in my opinion. So,
right.
how was that transition been for you, man? Just getting down to Louisiana and getting on your feet, man.
So coming down to Louisiana is definitely one of those things that people were very skeptical at first about me telling them like, "Hey, I'm moving to Louisiana to work in a pro shop," and this has all happened like whenever I got the first phone call from Jeff McCorby, who's now my boss. Um, he called me with the intention of me initially moving to Houston. That's something a lot of people don't know. Uh,
Oh,
so,
okay.
so Philip Wong and Paul Brubaker that owned the Legacy Pro Shops, basically, that was partially in Houston and partially in Oklahoma City. They were looking to sell out, and they wanted to be able to move on from the pro shop industry.
Makes sense.
Paul and Phil still come around plenty, and I tell people it's like they're still going to be around. It's just one of those things that they wanted to get out because of the fact that Paul just just he does a lot of other stuff. He works in IT, I know, so he has a lot of stuff going on top of that. He
Yeah.
also is a bowler, so he wants to be able to bowl more often. And running a shop is definitely one of those things that you sacrifice bowling sometimes just to be able to run the shop full time.
Right, right.
And then Philip just had a kid at the end of last year or sometime in the last year. So, he wanted to be a family man. He has all this house flipping going on. So he had a lot going on.
Other interests,
Just
other interests, other interests. I get you.
exactly. So whenever Jeff called me, it was actually I was in Baton Rouge. So it was very ironic because I was like an hour from where I'm at right now.
Okay.
Basically visiting. I was out doing some stuff. It was around the time of the BR in December. So I was out here visiting, and Jeff calls me or emails me. He emails me because I had been talking to Philip about a new job. I was like, I need to get out of Dallas. I need to be able to expand my knowledge, not only as a pro shop operator, but as a human being. I want to be able to move out on my own, do my own thing, have
Right.
more responsibilities on my own because it was that time, right? I was doing really good bowling. I knew I was a great pro shop operator. I was just not in the right situation because the Dallas market is just really competitive. If you go to Dallas right now, there's probably 30 shops throughout the whole entire DFW area,
Yeah.
maybe more at
Yes,
this
it's
point. And this is also not including this is not including just the ones that are in actual bowling centers, but bowling centers, garage guys that run out of plazas, because I mean that's becoming a bigger thing with Neil Lau moving into the whole entire Dallas Fort Worth area. So I
Okay.
mean there's guys left and right in Dallas, and all of them are great guys. So it's really hard to compete whenever you have 30, 40 guys in the same area that are all really, really good. So how
True.
do you capture an audience whenever you have 30, 40 different guys? Like, how do you become the top in that whole entire situation? And being younger, it's one of the things I tell everybody. And if anybody ever watches my vlog series, we did the Bowl Expo vlog series this year, and the younger generation in the pro shop industry is very much undermined in the sense that we aren't going to get the chance that somebody that's 30 or 40 years old in the pro shop industry. And that's just because of the fact that they believe that we shouldn't be in the pro shop industry. And I tell people, like, I'm the prime example of what it is to be a young pro shop operator, and like having the right mindset and having the right work ethic. So I mean, it's all about, let's be on our stuff, let's work hard, because it's just, I mean, I'm not one to like slack around. Like, I really never did, and I never really wanted to.
All right.
So
And as we kind of continue to pivot, you started to mention, being a young person in, this space. I feel like social media is kind of giving you an edge. And I think, we're starting to see it, really manifest, over the course of the past, 3-4 months, 5 months.
right.
I want to say that things just continue to get better for yourself right now.
Right. That's something that has definitely been pointed out a lot over the last few months. I definitely put myself out there on social media every single day, and that's something that I've always done. So whenever I first started bowling, and even before then, like, I was always on social media. Instagram became a thing, I was on Instagram. Twitter became a thing, I was on Twitter. Facebook, and like how Facebook works now is like, it's more than just like having a friend. It's also, you can have followers, you can have your own pages like the Hype, or we have the Bowling World pages for all the different shops. So I always said that, the only way to get recognized in the world is to be connected to more than just what locally is there. And that's just a sense of like what the 21st century has brought to us, right? Like, you go online and you type in one word, and it could be any word. There's going to be over 1 billion results, right? So like, being able to be communicated and very well known on the internet now is the way of getting attention to you. And people like used to think about internet like attention as the worst, right? Because like, there's all the, what if you can get scammed, what if you like run into somebody that's dangerous. But now social media is a lot more transparent. Obviously there's still like the like here and there issues where you have to watch out who you talk to or who you're dealing with, because like it still happens. You can get in trouble on the internet, you can you can get hurt. So like, I tell people, like, understand that like whenever I go post on social media, like people are like, hey, why are you posting your phone number on social media? And I'm like, you can Google my number. That's my, like, this phone right here is my business line. So if you go and like look up Bowling World Kenner right now, first thing that pops up is Bowling World Kenner, my hours, and then my cell phone number. So I tell people, it's like, my cell phone number is not just my cell phone number anymore. It's like my business line. That's where everybody communicates with me. So so like, to the point is, it's just, social media is definitely the biggest push in the market right now. Being on the top side of social media and being ahead of what people are doing, definitely a big thing. So I've made sure that like I'm always the first one to post, or try to be one of the first to post about whatever new releases are coming, or whatever new bags, shoes, whatever events are happening. I try to share out as many events as possible. Obviously, with that said, it's, there's tournaments every weekend now. There's new balls almost every month, it feels like now. And I tell people left and right, it's like, man, we have new balls coming from the brands of Brunswick, which with me being on C300 staff, I tell people, it's like, I'm always seeing a new ball come out from, the brands of Brunswick and coming into the family. So it's like, it's been really, really rough this year, just drilling so many things. I tell people, it's like, between that and like all the events, Bowl Expo, Nationals, like there's always a revolving conversation going. There's always something to talk about in the bowling industry. So having a good social media platform, and whether you're like an individual bowler or even a pro shop operator that has a small following already in their home center, having that connection nationwide through social media makes a really, really big difference. And I would say it's one of those things where it makes a big difference to the point where like I've gotten texts or messages from like me reaching out to certain companies. Like I just reached out to USBC like literally yesterday, about next year at Nationals and as well as Expo, because with Nationals you can't film stuff, or you can't film certain stuff, and you have to watch out what you film, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So I'm starting to get the ball rolling on that kind of stuff, because I'm trying to be ahead of the game when it comes to the videos that I'm filming, the stuff that I'm going to be recording, just in general, I want to make sure that I'm ahead of the curve. That way, if I have to do anything, it's not, it's not anything I'm getting in trouble for. I also make sure that in that parameter, when it comes to the videos that I'm doing, that everything is locked down. I don't have to get in trouble for anything. That's one of the big things now is just making sure you don't get in trouble with the camera in your hand. Because like people ask me like, how can you like handle walking through an airport with your camera out?
Well,
And I was just like, the only thing like you can't record is like 2 seconds at the TSA. Like, and the only 2 seconds at the TSA that you can't record is like, let's say like your cameras, like, so camera batteries and laptops always pop at the TSA checkpoint. I don't know what it is, but every single time my backpack gets stopped and my laptop always gets searched. And if it doesn't, thank God.
Well, you gotta just take that stuff out and just leave immediately.
Well, and then sometimes it's just like they have now at some checkpoints the bigger bins that you don't take out any of your stuff out of. Like you leave everything in the bin, you just put the whole bag in there with everything on there, and then you just send it through. So like with those, like you don't really get a choice. Like you have to leave them in there, and sometimes you get forced into those lines depending on your bag and bag size and all that. And every single time somebody sees the camera backpack, which I bought recently, everybody's just like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go ahead and have you go into this line. I tell people it's like, it's whatever. It's cool. Like, I get stopped for a couple minutes. I usually get to the airport early, so it doesn't really matter. But I tell people it's like realistically, the only thing that you'll have to worry about is like focal range. Like I learned that I just need to keep the focus really, really close to my face and make sure that everything around me is blurred out, which you and I have talked plenty about camera stuff over the last several months, and just me kind of getting set up with a new camera, which was one of the big purchases that I made this year, just to kind of get myself prepared to be more quality worth towards my videos.
Point blank.
Just learning a lot of things, making sure that whenever I'm filming stuff that I know who I can be around and what I can be around. And it's just a matter of controlling your own environment. At the end of the day, running a shop, I do whatever I need to do in my space. So it's like I tell people, it's like, hey, if you don't want to be on camera, let me know. I just cut you out, or I just make sure that you're not in the shop, and it's however you want it. I tell people, it's like, you can tell me to just cut you out of a video if you saw me recording, or you could just tell me when you don't want to be here, and I will make sure you're not here if I have the camera on.
Right. Get you. All right, man. So let's get to the fun stuff, man. Everybody, when they see live streams, they see anything, it's like, well, what is the new stuff? And you were very fortunate, and you got your hands on the new blue, whatever the blue ball is, man.
The Columbia 300 Power Torque. So funny thing, we knew about this ball roughly about a month ago. I think I could say all this without getting in trouble now because it's been past the whole situation. If anything, Nick Smith will get at me later. Okay. But about a month ago, we got an email from Jeff and Ryan, who is Jeff's son, who's our marketing director. And basically, they reached out and said, hey, Kevin and the guys at Brunswick want us to hype up this next upcoming release. Basically, we got an email saying this is like the upcoming release that we want to hype up. We want to make sure that this one is not overshadowed by the other releases that are going to come out with it. And here's the name of the ball, and that's it. Like we didn't get anything. We didn't get the specs of the ball. We didn't get the color of the ball. We didn't get anything about this bowling ball. The only thing we got was the name of it. And whenever they mentioned Power Torque, I was like, man, that name sounds familiar. Like immediately it popped into my head. I was like, I've seen that name somewhere in the Columbia line in the past. And again, with the knowledge that I have from the people that I've been with, I know about a lot of older balls. So I always did my research on older balls because I wanted to know the absolute latest, but also know the oldest, because that's something that happens a lot nowadays. Bowling balls from the past get brought back, or even brought back in conversation, just like the guys that used to throw rubber and all that, everybody wants to talk about the old school stuff because it's part of our history. But they came out with the Power Torque, they brought it to us. We were supposed to get those balls, I'm pretty sure, a lot quicker. So this last week and a half, I got the bowling ball actually last week on Wednesday.
Okay.
They all got shipped out to Huntsville, where our main location is at, and then from there they brought it into
boy Jason.
Jason Patrick Martinez fan club. I'm a Jason Maryland fan. Okay, look, I'm nobody. But Yeah, so like they sent us the bowling balls. We got them in Monday at Huntsville, and then the guys at Huntsville sent them out to us.
Yeah.
It was 5 or 6 of us. So between me, it was Peyton Piku, Russell Anderson, Chris Tomlinson, who runs our McCorby's Bowling World Scratch Tour, Michael Price, who runs our warehouse along with the shop in Huntsville, and a few other guys. So it was 5 or 6 of us that got the ball early, and we basically got told keep the logos out of the screen, keep the box out of the screen, hype this ball up in whatever way you possibly can, and that's where you have to get really creative in such a short amount of time. And I told them like, man, this was probably the hardest project that I've worked on. Like hands down, ball promotion in that level, which is something that they haven't done in a while because it's really difficult to do, especially with bowling centers being really, really active now versus what they used to be before COVID.
Yeah.
Like I told them, like my bowling center hadn't been slow since I opened back. Like whenever I tell you my bowling center opens at X time, and from X time till the moment they close, they have people, and like they have to kick people out. Like they had to get security here recently to kick people out. But I told people it's like, you know, it was really fortunate just to be able to like do the promotion for the ball. It's probably, if I had to say anything about the ball, it's comparison to a Phase 2 and a Idol. When it comes to the shape of it, so it's a really, really smooth benchmark shape. It's super mid lane.
We got to come up with a different comparison, man. Come on.
But okay, we're getting there. But this is actually like the conversation that we had with Brunswick, because Brunswick reached out to me after they saw my videos and asked me about the ball. I told them they asked me to compare it to something from another line, and I know what they meant whenever they said the other line, and it's, you know, it's, we have our biggest competitor, which is Storm. It's always going to be Storm, Rotogrip, and 900. That's going to be our competition. And then they told me to also compare it to what we have in our line currently. The Damn Good Verge and the Game Breaker 4 are probably two of the most popular balls that there was on the market. I felt the Damn Good Verge and the Game Breaker 4 were too strong overall, so they never really quit. And I mean,
just from my experience with the GB4, it's exactly that. Like I just now became like fell in love with that ball, right? Because it's, you know, kind of got a little oil on the cover. And it's more controllable. Before, right, like I said, it read so early. Like this was like it read like a big asymmetrical ball.
Exactly. It was like it felt like a big ball, but it wasn't. And same thing with the Damn Good Verge. Like I drilled the Damn Good Verge, and I'm texting back and forth with like Tyler Armour and Nick Smith and all of them, and I'm like, what do I do with the Damn Good Verge? Like I've seen it been thrown, I've seen it this, everybody loves it. I've drilled one for a customer, and the first customer that I drilled one for shot 299 with it. It's one of the vlogs too. So I tell people, it's like, everybody's loving this ball, but I'm here, like, I don't know what to do with it because it feels like it's going to be too strong. And from what it looks like, it's going to be too strong. Drill it, too strong. And I tell people, it's like, I am very particular about motions. I know some balls are going to be good for customers. I'm going to hate some. Some customers might love those that I hate.
But Come on, lefty. Come on, man.
I know, man, but
left hand up.
I need to be able to see the ball push, man. You know, there's not a lot of oil on my side of the lane.
Man, you're the only one over there. We ain't got to pour that much oil over there, man.
Look, man, 550 reps plus. I just measured it, 554 reps. As a left-hander, really hard to manage.
Man, you need to get a hop or something, man, to go throw the ball a little faster.
I'm gonna have to add a little hop step into my approach at one point again, because golly. But in comparison, so like it's underneath the Damn Good Verge and the Game Breaker 4. So like this is the Damn Good Verge and the Game Breaker 4. And then you have the Power Torque in the middle. And then what I considered the ball underneath that is actually the Knockout, because it was a lot cleaner through the front and middle part of the lane, and it came off the spot a lot stronger. So it's dead in between. It's like the perfect benchmark ball. It has great shelf appeal. Like I put it up against like all the stuff that I have on my wall. And if you ever see my wall, I literally have just like a wall just like this one in the background, where it's just covered in like all the like latest bowling balls. Right. And I mean, we come out with a lot of darker color bowling balls because that's what appeals in the market when it comes to what's going to roll the best. Because people think darker colors, it's going to roll a lot smoother. It's going to be a lot more predictable. Yep. And it's the first bright looking ball that rolls as smooth as it does. It has the ERT cover that is on the Dynamic Swing series. And then it has almost like a textured solid finish to it. So it's ERT solid with texture on it, which they didn't like label the texture on there, but I told them, I was like, I could feel the texture when I passed my hand on the ball for the first time.
Okay.
Obviously they went with the same like nameplate on the actual engraving of the ball.
Which is retro.
Yeah. They wanna keep the Columbia line a little retro in a sense. They don't want to
Okay.
like super retro it, but they want to keep some of the retroness to that name,
Okay.
because that was one of the name brands that was big back in the day, right? The
Gotcha.
view dots, the wine dots, all those older urethane balls on top of all the balls that they've come out with over the years, the Beast, the Messenger, etc. Right?
Yep.
Um, and then whenever we got this email and we got the bowling balls, they actually didn't tell us about the other releases till probably 3 days, 4 days before the actual release of
Okay.
the announcement.
Mhm.
But sorry,
No, you good.
um, but basically they came in and they told us about, or I got at least a message about the other three releases that got announced with the Power Torque. I got I got the information about the Infamous, about the Obsession Tour Pearl, as well as the Polaris. And this information kind of came scattered because I had a lot of staffers that knew some stuff and then didn't know some stuff as well. That were like, hey, have they told you about this? Have they told you about this? And we like, it's a lot of chatter between staffers and kind of going around trying to figure out like what's the next ball, right? Because like everybody wants to get the information first, and that's just how the whole world works. Um, but Infamous, it looks like it's going to be that the middle of the line, like hammer ball for like
Mhm.
those mid lane conditions, like wherever you need like that wet dry blend. I feel like
Mhm.
that's what the Infamous is going to be meant for. I haven't got my hands on it; it's on its way. Obsession Tour Pearl, everybody loved an Obsession Tour. This is just going to be cleaner through the fronts, and I mean probably a little bit more down lane, which will be really really nice to see in that lower differential, higher G ball.
Yep.
And then the Polaris, we're seeing the GSV cover come back. I told them that that was something that I was very, very excited for. The GSV covers are from the Choice line. So the Choice Hybrid, the Choice Solid, and if we all look at the ball, it looks like a Choice Solid, like face to face. Like if you put a Choice Solid and a Polaris right here, it's same ball.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
I'm super excited to see what the Polaris will be like with that GSV cover. I haven't actually compared the numbers because I haven't really looked into the numbers all that much. I really don't do any of that till I actually get the balls on hand first. Uh,
It's insane. Like, dude, you have so many bowling
yeah,
balls out. Like, I think it would be very hard to do that much research when you still have so
yeah.
much on your plate right now.
Yeah,
So,
and that's why I tell a lot of people. It's like a lot of people are like, "Oh man, it must be so nice to like get all these bowling balls to do all these reviews that you've been doing." And I'm like, one, it's like I'm still working a lot to get these bowling balls. It's not just like they're handing them over and like here it's a silver platter. It's
yeah,
like
do
they're
nothing
like
for it.
they're sending them and they're being like, "This is what you need to review. Make it good." And
Yeah,
it's like, how do you stay fresh when it comes to making a ball review?
yeah.
I
It's
mentioned a
competitive.
lot to people that have walked up to me and asked me okay, well, like, do you have any more ideas for the YouTube channel? This and the other. We're working on a podcast, so we're gonna have something like this where we kind of have guests as well as a podcast where we just kind of talk about pro shop operator stuff. We're gonna just kind of change it up every couple weeks. I'm working on the details of that now, and just kind of trying to hammer them down to the point where we have a list of stuff to talk about for a couple months and not really have to worry about the scheduling part of it. It's just about getting on, doing it, being done. Um, but I tell people it's like I'm always working on ideas on like how cinematically, like, and this is why I tell people I don't want my videos to just be videos. I want my videos to be actual movies that they're watching on YouTube, right? I want
Yeah,
them to feel like they're immersing into like an adventure with me and
right.
not just, hey guys, this is the pretty
The
bowling
next,
ball that we're coming out with now.
yeah,
Like I'm tired of the same. Here's the bowling ball we're drilling. Here's the layout that we're drilling, and then here's 4 or 5 shots with the ball,
yeah.
right? So like, and I've told a lot of people, in the last couple of weeks, I've actually taken over my own editing. So I've spent a lot of nights, really, really late night. If you follow me on Instagram or anything like that,
Yep.
uh, you can literally see me post that I'm like 2 o'clock in the morning editing videos still. And I tell people it's like I've had to learn how to do this process on my own, not only to relieve the guy that's doing it already. So Ryan, who's Jeff's son, again, marketing director for our company, he was doing all
Mhm.
my editing for the blogs, for my reviews, for everything. And it was really hard because like I would have some ideas that as much as I would try to, it's not, it's hard to be able to communicate with an editor, and then it's also hard to communicate with an editor and also a guy that are always busy. Like we're all both always busy because he's running our website, our social media, in the sense of like our main pages on social media,
Okay.
while I'm realistically as a social media coordinator for the company, I'm more just doing actual like face appearances. Like my job is to be on the camera, be able to talk about something, take the pictures of balls, do that stuff that's, physically for him, he can't actually go out and do those things at the moment. So he has me taking pictures, making videos, and all that. But it's really hard to take what's in here and actually put it on words and make it feel fluent. So I tell people it's like now I'm working on getting those fluent ideas across by doing it myself. So I'm gonna become very more cinematic in my process. I'm gonna have a lot more cuts and transitions, and I'm 1 second filming from this angle and another second filming from this angle, the same exact thing. Um,
Man.
it's one of those things I tell people it's like it's really hard to like do all that, and on top of that, get an email about the bowling ball, read it, and like say, okay, here's all the numbers. Let me start planning that out now. And I tell people it's like pre-planning ball videos, worst thing ever. And I've tried, like I've actually tried writing a whole script for a bowling ball, doing it. I filmed the whole thing.
Mm,
You never saw that ball review. That ball review never came out. And
mm.
I tell people it's like it's just not doable because of the fact that it feels fake whenever you're trying to script it.
Well, just because I have a lot of experience fighting that same fight that you're alluding to right now, especially with you don't want to continue to see the same thing,
Right.
like, and just okay, well, how can I visually make this better than you cut to a video, you use the company's, you know
Right.
whatever shots or images that they already have, and then just
Exactly.
throwing the ball. And that's only but so useful, because unless that individual bowls at that bowling center, what information are you really relaying? Because
Exactly.
from house to house to house,
It's
you
always
know,
gonna be different.
it's always going to be different. So what you're actually telling me is more helpful from what you are accustomed to seeing from other shapes. Oh, this is rounder, or this is
Exactly.
sharper from, but I definitely get you. And then when you get to
Yeah.
that editing side of things, you talk about spending that much time. Like my
Yeah.
fiance kicks my butt a lot about that.
I can hear the shotgun shells cocking it.
Like, man, if you don't come to
Oh.
bed, like,
Oh.
it definitely, man. I know that late night grind, man,
Right.
trying to get stuff done and still having to go to the shop to work.
Exactly. And I tell people that's the hardest part is like people are like, man, how do you have the time? Like we went to Expo, and
Mm,
like the guys and girls that went to Expo. So 20 of us went to Expo this year from McCorvey's. We have
mm,
70 shops, so 20 people is a very small portion of what we have hired throughout the whole company.
okay.
But like 4 or 5 or 6 of them looked at me and were like, how in the world do you do it? Like straight up, they looked at me and they were like, how do you do it? How do you manage to run a pro shop, which I also work 57 to 62 hours a week, right? And it's now being pulled back to like the 50 to 55 range because I'm bowling league again, thank God, finally getting back into league. But how do you do 55 to 60 hours a week in the shop, as well as
Right.
film videos in that time on top of being busy? I'm also I'm top 3 or top 4 in sales at the moment. This month I'm a little slower, so I'll probably dropped a little bit, but I'm like top 3 or 4 in sales for the whole year out of 70 shops or more. So like, how do I do all that and still be able to film videos, get videos out, do all the stuff that I do on social media? I'm constantly posting stuff. I'm constantly on social media. I'm constantly texting customers, texting people from our group, helping people from
Mm,
our group, training people, teaching people on the lanes, off the lanes. Like, how do I do all that in one day or even in a week?
right.
I tell people I'm insane, hands down. Charles is very much the person that can attest to this. I will literally text him at 3 o'clock in the morning if I have a question, and he'll see it the next day and be like, "Bro, my bad." And I was like, "You don't have to be bad. It's just I'm always moving." And I tell people it's like I don't really have much going on in life other than like recently I just got a girlfriend. She's long distance. That's a whole nother conversation that will
Shout
come up.
out, shout out,
Yeah,
shout
yeah,
out.
yeah. Shout out to the girlfriend that puts through all my stuff that I do. Uh, but I tell people it's like other than like the girlfriend and family, I don't really like here in New Orleans. I don't have anything, or here in Kenner or New Orleans, however you want to call it. I don't really have anything going on. So like I have work, and I have like video games. That's about it. And I don't really play video games as much as I used to because I'm working on so many things at the moment.
Right.
But I tell people it's like I just focus on wanting to be the best right now. Same thing when it goes with bowling. Like I just mentioned, I just got back into leagues. Whenever I moved, it was January of 2020, so just before quarantine hit. Right, so we all got locked up. I dropped mid-season from the leagues in Dallas. I came here. I said I wasn't going to plan on bowling until the summer season, if there was a summer season, because I didn't really know until I got here. Okay. And I told people it's like I was going to plan on bowling in the summer season. We got locked up. We reopened. We finished the fall season here, which all the leagues decided they were going to finish out their seasons because all the leagues here are big. Like my smallest league is 25 lanes in a 64-lane center.
Oh, wow.
And my biggest single-handed league, like one league by itself, is 45 lanes this year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I tell people it's like I'm always constantly busy. And so whenever we came back and we reopened, all the way through the end of the fall season, I didn't actually bowl other than sub. So I subbed all the way from the time they were done all the way through now, and I didn't really join up on the season whenever like they restarted, because they restarted what would be the quarter point through the fall season going into the winter. So like it was impossible for me to think I'm currently drilling bowling balls still at 11 o'clock at night, almost 4 days out of the week. And they want me to bowl league on those nights. Like I had line out the door of the shop trying to get stuff done, me walking up and down the bowling alley, bringing people stuff, ringing them up from my phone, or even walking up and down the bowling center, bringing stuff and like showing them stuff and like trying to like get people to buy certain things. Like just me just making, just really busy. And I tell people it's like, so I tell people it's like, other than like me and work and bowling, like there's not really much for me going on here. Like I'm here and I'm just focused on the grind, and you know, now it's the video grind and the YouTube grind. TikTok has been a little bit slacking with the whole YouTube thing going on lately, which I said that that's a whole conversation that's coming up in the next couple weeks between TikTok and I, and a whole bunch of other stuff. There's a game plan in mind for my YouTube, or not for my YouTube, but the Bowling World YouTube. I am starting my own YouTube channel as well. So there's a lot going on. I have a lot of ideas. It's just a matter of now I just need to hunker down my time, sit down at one point, and like hammer it out all on paper.
Period.
So the next, and that's it. It's just hammer it out on paper, make sure that I'm 100% ready to go. Yeah. And as soon as I'm 100% ready to go, I'm just going to hit the gas pedal and not let it go. Man. And like full force, just focus on what I'm doing, keep grinding it out, you know, drill as many bowling balls as I can. I told myself my one goal in Louisiana is I want to drill a bowling ball for every single person in Louisiana that bowls.
That's a lofty goal, but man, I applaud you, man, and I hope that you keep on fighting towards that one, boss.
Right. So that's like my main goal, and again, I just want to make sure I keep putting out content that people want to watch. I have a lot of people that have messaged me over the last week or two, just impressed. And I tell people it's odd for me to hear somebody being impressed by me because of the fact that I was always looked down on, right? Like I wasn't always the Mr. Popular that people make me out to be. I tell people it's like I am very much humble when it comes down to the whole social media presence that I have now, because I didn't expect it. I expected to still be a nobody at this point. And I tell people this in the sense of like, I didn't know that me posting a couple TikTok videos was going to make me skyrocket on that platform and then make me want to go into the whole social media and content creation route that I'm at now.
Hey, growth. Like, I didn't see it coming. I've known you for a while.
Right.
And you've, again, the growth. I talked to Jeremy, he was just like, man, he was so proud of, just the strides that you've made. Like, it's different. Like the progress is there.
Right. And shout out to Jeremy, by the way, because Jeremy was one of the people that pushed me the most while I was in Dallas. He would always make sure that and this is like whenever I had my worst days in Dallas and the Garland shop, or even the best days where like I was running myself like to the point down that I was just worn out. I tell people it's like I wore myself out at Garland very, very much so to be able to try to capture the people as much as I could. Obviously, I also had junior gold in Dallas, which that's a whole other story. We could probably have a whole podcast about junior gold. But I told people it's like Jeremy is probably my number one supporter when it comes to the people that I have in DFW when it came to being with me in the shop. So big shout out to him, because if not, I would have probably starved some nights, and he would have probably heard some complaints about me being really hangry to some people. So Jeremy, thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I tell people, it's like, it's just, I'm humble about the whole situation. I'm glad that I'm able to like put out content as I am now. Obviously, again, working on bigger things. It's just a matter of sitting down and like being able to find somebody to run the shop for some time for me, and then me being able to focus on both things, the shop and the content creation stuff. It's just a matter of time.
That's
Uh,
it.
yeah, and I mean, my mind is constantly going. Again, bowling balls are coming out left and right. And I'm also trying to expand our content to outside of the brands of Brunswick, get customers involved. That's my biggest plan, actually, at the moment. I want to get more customers and more people from the audience involved in quote unquote reviewing bowling balls. And I don't really want to call it reviewing, because I'm not really wanting to review bowling balls anymore. It's more, I want people to see what bowling balls do to the normal person, right? And I tell a lot of people, and this is again one of those things I mentioned at Bowl Expo to a lot of the people that I spoke to, is that I don't care to be a bowler. And I say this in the sense of, I don't care to be a professional bowler, so I don't want to average 240. I don't care to average 240. If I average 240, great. If I don't, I'm not going to be upset about it, because at the end of the day, my focus is very much inside the shop, and it's very much on the content creation stuff, because that's what I do, right? So I tell people, it's like, I don't want you to come watch a ball review and think, oh, well, anybody's going to be able to sell a bowling ball if they can strike with it every single shot. I tell people, it's like, one, my videos end up being like 4 or 5 games long of me filming myself to be able to get like really good shots in. So it's like I'm practicing at the same time as filming a ball review. It's not really me just filming a ball review. So it's very exhausting. And I tell people, it's like I'm not a bowler. Like, I really don't focus on bowling. And this is a conversation that one of the bowlers that I talked to this past week mentioned. He was like, I think if you did not focus so much on so many things, you would probably be a solid 220 to 230 average bowler. And I said, 100%.
Yeah.
I just don't care to do it.
Yeah, exactly. I just,
Yeah, like,
I get
like
you.
I like selling equipment. I'm running good pace to be able to like do really big things sales wise this year, which is, I have a goal set in mind, and I'm on pace for that. And if I can get above it, that's even bigger goal to accomplish. But tell people left and right, I'm just gonna focus on moving forward and just doing the things I'm doing. Yeah.
Okay. Hey, man. Awesome. Great stuff, man. Again, I'm a fan. I'm liked and subscribed to everything.
Appreciate it.
Got to do that. Um, but as we, briefly, you mentioned kind of what outside of the power torque, what is kind of another one of this bunch that you really excited about, or even I want to say, please, out of these summer releases, what's really stood out to you, and even the one that just released this past weekend.
So we just had this past week the Melee Jab Midnight Blue, the Hellraiser Blaze, the Legion Pearl, as well as the Zenith Hybrid release. Haven't gotten my hands on a Zenith Hybrid, so I can't tell you anything about that one. I've drilled one for a customer already, but I can't get my own yet. It's still in the process of getting here. I just tell people, it's like, I get all my stuff straight from Brunswick. Can't get my stuff quicker than customers sometimes. It's fine. Zenith Hybrid I haven't seen really much. A lot of people comparing it to a Paradox Black. All you Paradox Black fans, get a Zenith Hybrid. From what people are telling me, that's what it rolls like. So
big strong ball. I've drilled one, and I'm waiting to put that review together. I just the grind.
Yeah, I get it. So I mean, a lot of people told me Paradox Black comparison to the Zenith Hybrid. Super excited about that one whenever it gets here. The ball out of this last week's release that actually like super impressed me, that I didn't think I was going to be all super excited for until I got my hands on it, was the Melee Jab Midnight Blue and the Hellraiser Blaze. Hellraiser Blaze is definitely the strongest ball that DV8 has put out within the last 1.5 or 2 years. There's been a ton of them with the Warrant Solid and a couple other pieces that they've had, but this is hands down the strongest off the spot ball that we've had. It clears the fronts and mids super well, and the surface and the cover that they put on it makes the ball really come off the spot. I mean, I was playing last week, standing probably like 40. Like, I was basically up against the ball return like I used to be in Dallas, and this house is not very, like, it's higher friction surface, but the house plays super slick because of the humidity here. So I tell people, it's like the humidity and the weather out here makes the lanes play tight down lane. but the surface is super high friction. So
Okay.
like it's a combination of everything. It's like you're trying to play tight, but at the same time you have to play like super far inside. So I tell people it's like this is the strongest ball that I've been able to throw here and actually like be able to see what it's gonna do before it hits the pins. So I tell people it's like hands down one of my favorites. I just last week drilled the melee jab midnight blue and super clean. It reads the mid lane really really well, so it
Okay.
gives a really nice pronounced motion to the lane. I was impressed. I hadn't really thrown melees very much. You and me even talked about it. How I wanted to find a purple one to throw that one to kind of get a good comparison. But then I kind of thought about it. I was like, I don't want to really cloud my judgment with the earlier ones.
Yeah,
Uh,
makes
I,
sense.
I even drilled like when was it? Like a week after they announced the melee jab midnight blue. I actually went and ordered the blood red. And I ordered the blood red, I drilled it, but then after throwing it a few times, I was like, I don't want to throw this. Like I legitimately told myself, like, I don't want to throw this because I just don't want it to cloud my judgment on what the midnight blue is gonna be.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
I drilled it, I threw it twice, and then after I threw it twice, I actually haven't touched it. I think I gave it. I actually think I gave it away to Adam Atkins, which is he goes to Weber and he also works part time for McCorby's whenever he is off of
Okay.
school. Uh, but I told myself it's not a matter that I didn't want to throw the ball because I didn't want to like it. It's just a matter of the fact that I wanted to make sure that if I was going to do a review on the Midnight Blue, that I didn't start throwing a ball that I couldn't throw for more than like a couple months, right?
Yeah.
Um, and with reviews, it's a little bit different because whenever we're doing reviews, we are making sure that we are reviewing balls on the moment. But at the same time, I just didn't want to cloud my judgment with that ball. It was just one of those things where I was like, let me just cut out the other factors. Let's see it as a brand new ball, nothing before it. I just want to talk more about the history on that review as well, because of the fact that the history of
The
the
melee.
melee series, I mean, it's a long history. Like if you watch my video, there's 7 different melees over over the course of like 7 years, 10 years
Yeah.
almost. So I
Yep.
tell people it's like it's crazy. We don't really see that anymore. Uh,
Mm-mm. But I'm happy that
but
they've actually started to do that because I don't feel like we've had a ball run that long with the same name plate
mhm.
in a sense because other companies like Brunswick and other, like Storm, I mean, in
Yeah,
motive they keep their that one ball in the line or two,
right.
so it's nice to have a baseline that we're always going to have a jab. I'm hoping that's what they're moving to because it
Yeah,
is a fan favorite. It seems that way.
right.
And we are you come to the Brunswick side of things, man. Hey, we started with a jab and then you go from there.
You're
Right.
gonna see the jab, right? That's a conversation topic that I forget a lot in the shop, especially with, oh, this ball was really good. Why are they getting rid of it? And I
Yes.
tell people it's like Brunswick has a game plan when it comes to releasing bowling balls. As much as they release so many bowling balls, they also want to keep things fresh as much as they possibly can. So they might get rid of, and this is a like really bad example because they're not getting rid of this ball. But let's say they get rid of the Obsession and the Obsession Tour, right?
Mm.
They come out with the Obsession Tour Pearl. More than likely, we'll have another iteration of the Obsession Tour at one point. It's just one of those things that they want to keep things fresh. Their timetable, quote unquote, is what they call it. Is
Okay.
they want to keep like a 3-month timetable where they're constantly refreshing the line, and it's to be able to not only push more sales because obviously a new bowling ball is going to sell more than an older one, but it's also a matter of the fact of like technology is changing, and like Brunswick has one of the highest end facilities when it comes to creating and designing bowling balls as well as just making them.
Okay.
Period. Like they're light years ahead of any technology in the whole US. Obviously they have the dot technology, they have dynamic core, they have all these different things that they're putting into the bowling balls to
Yep.
be able to make them better every single time they make a bowling ball.
Okay.
And I can tell you from just seeing how bowling balls react, like it's a big difference. Like you take a ball from 6 months ago versus
Mm.
now, like I can go drill an Outlook Solid, for example, and put it up against a Power Torque and or just something comparable. Like let's say a Damn Good Verge, Columbia 300 Outlook Solid and the Damn Good Verge. Those two balls are completely different, but they're
Okay.
supposed to be the same. So like
Okay.
the Outlook Solid was supposed to be that strong overall ball,
Mm.
and the Damn Good Verge outhooks it. And it's because of the fact that the technology is getting better, how they're making the bowling balls is getting better, and things are just going to get better. So I tell people it's like don't be shied away because of the fact that they're getting rid of one ball. They're going to come out with something better every single time over, and it doesn't matter if it's going to hook a little bit more because realistically, everything going on with static weight changes and how they've taken that whole entire scene and made it to where like layout is, it's all about layouts and it's all about getting the surfaces right. Like
Right.
you have to adjust to what is going on. And I tell people, it's like, I boast myself on layouts, everything by the number. I've only had probably 3 customers in my whole entire time here in Kenner that I don't actually lay out balls by the numbers. And that's because of the fact that they specifically tell me, this goes here, period. And I don't argue with those people.
No,
It's
make your life simple.
I tell people straight up, I'm like, cash or card. You come at me. Like I have my customers that walk up and they're like, here's my card, draw me a bowling ball. Like straight up, they walk in, they're like, Pat, I want a bowling ball, here's my card. Bring me up, let me know how much the total was. That's all I need to know.
Hey.
And I have plenty of those. They're like, they text me. And even like to this point, like right now, I just got a text saying, hey, I want to draw something. What do I draw? Okay. So my, I go through my process and I tell people, like I ask a lot of people because I can't remember every single bowling ball that I draw for everybody.
Yeah.
But I tell those people like, okay, well, let's take a look at what we drilled last and let's, go from there. So I tell people, it's like, let's look at those. Let's look at the numbers on the core. Let's look at the covers. And then let's think about layouts, right? I'm very much the guy that puts the same layout on everything for myself. But I also put the same layout for myself on everything because I am drilling everything.
Get you. Yeah.
Every bowling ball release from, I believe, February. No, March or February this year. I've drilled everything. So I tell people, it's like, I'm drilling everything constantly. So I just want to have the same layout on everything, whether it's symmetrical and asymmetrical. And I just want to see what the ball itself changes on those layouts, right? So same layout on all my asymmetric pieces, same layout on all my symmetrical pieces, and see what the actual cover and core changes make the ball do, or make those layout do at that point.
Hey, I was just gonna say, just gonna jump in right now, real quick, because we get into the hour mark, man. You know,
yeah, I see that.
We gonna keep it.
We gotta keep it within an hour. Yeah,
keep it at the hour, man. But you get a lot of good points though.
Right
here, what you gonna say before
I'm gonna run down like the list of bowling balls. Yeah, between everything, definitely Hellraiser Blaze and Melee Jab, top notch. From the last couple releases, the Command Solid really piqued my eye, as well as the Game Breaker ASIM. Game Breaker nameplate, again, one of those that we've always seen in the line of Embedite. So really, really popular ball here in the area already, and popular everywhere from what it looks like. So those are definitely the ones that like really, really piqued interest. Everybody's going to be excited about these new hammer balls coming out. I've already had people come in and like start asking me like, hey, when can we start pre-ordering? Because I do a lot of that here. I tell people, it's like, man, if you want it, come get it before it's even here, because it'll be gone. Other than that, I think the Power Torque is going to be another big one. Again, we have a really, really nice benchmark shape that we haven't really seen in the line for a couple years. So definitely think that's going to be another big one.
And that's ASIM, or is it symmetric?
It's a symmetric. So it's symmetric with a solid cover. Again, I think that's going to be one of those big ones because of the fact that the color and also the fact that it's dead middle of the road ball. Like it's in between everything that we have in the line. It's dead in the center. And they did that on purpose and put the name to it because of that reason.
Okay. Cool. All right.
Yep.
So I think as far as social media and all those things go, I'm working on what's my narrative. And I feel like that's why a lot of bowling channels have worked. They have a narrative that they're following in a sense. You know, Darren Tang finally capped off his, in my opinion, like, yo,
for sure.
I won, you know, and Brett.
That was a big thing for him because like Darren Tang's whole entire purpose of his YouTube channel has been, I start by bowling everything on camera and I want to win on camera. Like he finished his storyline. Now where does he go from there? And his narrative is going to be more wins. And it's just capturing that journey, huge. Huge.
And like you were in part of the conversation before, he's like, well, I'm not trying to be a PBA bowler, right? And not to say like I feel exactly the same way, but as I just came back from Battle Bowl, which is a UBA thing, and I don't think UBA has kind of quite got west yet.
No, it hasn't got this way yet. I know what you're talking. I know who you talk or what tournament you're talking about. I have a couple people from the bowling TikTok community that have told me about UBA, so definitely know about UBA. Interested in bowling one day, but not here yet.
Man, I just joined a new team, Sub-Zero. We made it to the Final Four of the main event there. which was cool. And I'm gonna touch on that in another video. But dude, it's an experience, and you see
Right.
some people who aren't like, I wouldn't say PBA guys, but are good bowlers, and
Right.
bowling Dougie visions and things of that nature, right?
Yeah.
Or no immediate like, hey, I'll bet you for $1,000 right now.
Yeah,
Let's do it.
exactly. I
So,
definitely think the last year we've had a lot more bowlers come into the game that just got into bowling. But like for example, like Ryan Barnes, Chris Barnes' son, that kid just started bowling 18 months ago. He's like placing in top places at like PBA regionals and like shooting 300 left and right and like making some of the like pros, like making some of it like his elderly people or like his elders in the bowling community is what we'll call it, like making some of those guys look bad on
well,
the lanes, and not even look bad. Just like, how is it that a kid that just started 18 months ago is better than everybody, or just at a level that nobody can compare to?
I mean,
So
I'm
it's
not
been
going to give him all the credit. I'm gonna give him some of the credit. I mean, but his dad,
Chris,
Chris
yeah,
Barnes.
his dad is Chris Barnes. It is in the genes.
Let's just
So
put that
like,
out there. I mean, like,
I I tell people it's like it's just crazy. It's crazy
yeah,
how much bowling
so,
has evolved since coming back from quarantine. We've seen a lot new bowlers. Everybody's kind of taking the social media approach. Obviously, some more than others. There's definitely a big market that still wants to hit social media that is afraid. I have people reach out to me all the time. Dude, how do I do it?
yeah,
I'm like, pretty simple.
man, record, man,
Grab your
record,
phone and hit
record.
the camera button and just literally record. This is all it takes nowadays. I tell people left and right is you do not need the fancy camera that I have or that Charles has or that any of those big YouTubers have. Like Brad and Kyle, they still do some videos on their cell phones. And I tell people it's like just film something. Literally put together a 2-minute montage of you throwing the ball down the lane and people will watch it. You
Yeah,
just have to constantly put out stuff. And then at that point, it's just analyzing what you're putting out to
yeah,
know what people want to see most. I knew on TikTok, people wanted to see me throw the bowling ball, drill bowling balls the most. They didn't care about me talking about this and that and the other. And
yeah,
I could see it just in my views. If I post something that's not me throwing the bowling ball and drilling a bowling ball down the lane or not a review,
yeah,
downhill every single time. So I t- everybody, just if you wanted to get into the content creation part of bowling or any industry in general, just put out content. It doesn't matter if it's 2-minute videos or 10-minute videos or an hour video. Just do
yeah.
it. You
Dude,
cannot go wrong.
you can't. And the biggest part is getting getting the support. I think all of the bowling YouTube world is looking for a certain amount of support from the powers that be, I guess. Best way
Right.
to put it. And I think we got to continue to gather our followings, man, and really try to make this our own thing and not so dependent on like, well, if I don't have a staff contract like myself, like how do you continue to operate in this space when there are people, who do have certain access, ahead of you that
So,
you can't do certain
right.
things.
So
But
this is where I'll tell you this, and you're a good example because as much as you're not on staff, I know you are really good friends with Mike Dole, and you keep your communication with Brunswick as a whole really really well. Uh, the worst thing somebody could ever tell you is no. So don't feel afraid of calling or messaging any of these big companies and
yeah,
asking, hey, I want to do a ball review on your ball. What do I do? Other than buy the bowling ball, obviously. Like that's the first thing they're gonna say. But most of these companies want that exposure. Brunswick wants the exposure. That's why they're very big fans of me and what I've been doing lately. And that's why
right,
they asked me to do the whole Power Torque promotion thing.
right.
And same thing with just anybody. I had actually from my bowling TikTok community. Her name is Kristen Henry.
Okay.
Big shout out to her. She's a female two-handed bowler from the north. We don't hear that very often. Like that combination of words does not happen very often in our industry. It's
But it's
just
rising. It's
it
rising.
is
That number is
it,
rising.
it is rising really really big. I've seen now 2 or 3 on TikTok and then a couple on YouTube. So the whole entire situation is rising. She reached out to Dave Wadka. So big name.
Yep.
Everybody knows David Wadka.
Yeah.
So she reached out to Dave Wadka that she wanted to do a review on the Black Widow 2.0.
Mm.
She reached out. She asked. She was like, "Hey, here's my platform," and like she does really good. Like she does really good on TikTok, like big views, and she's capturing a big audience out there. And she reached out and asked like, "Hey, what do I have to do to get one?" And she reached out, she got one from Dave, and she threw it. She made like 20 videos or so. Like, just put out your information to people. Like, go and ask, because the only thing that those guys are going to tell you is no or yes. And it's going to be one of the two.
Yep.
They're going to say no, they're going to say yes. It's a 50-50 chance. Yep. And if you get them between of like, let me see what I can do, it's going to still be a 50-50 chance.
Gotcha.
So like, all you have to do is ask. Like, whenever Bowling World asked me about doing the vlogs, that's how it all started with Bowling World, was doing the vlog series in the shop, showing my day-to-day shop life throughout a whole week. Over I think it was 8 weeks that we did in a row, and then we started a 9th episode whenever just before Bowl Expo, so we can have like sort of a narrative going into Bowl Expo. Yep. I told them, I was like, they asked me like freaking out, like they didn't want to ask me. Like they were like skeptical about asking me because I'm so busy already, and I told them, I was like, what did you guys expect me to say other than yes? Like,
agreed.
And they were like, it's just a matter of how busy I am, and I was like, I get it, but it's also something that I want to pursue. So whenever they asked me, I told them, I was like, hell yeah, what, like, when do we start? Like, I want to start right now. So I tell people, it's like, just put yourself out there and the opportunities will come.
Great. And
easily.
As you were mentioning that Tyler Miller has made a comment, and dude, like, it's what I also, from the people I do know that are on staff, what is the bowling resume? What does that look like? And that's kind of where a lot of the staff contract now really comes from. Before it was, from what it seemed like, who threw the ball really well. Like, that's what it seemed like in the time before. But now.
So getting on staff back in the day was definitely a lot about be the guy that's bowling every tournament and strikes at every tournament and averages 200, 230, 240 at every tournament, winning tournaments left and right, blah, blah, blah. Like, back like 2-3 years ago, all about winning, all about making money, all about showing off, all about being the big dog at striking. Now to get on staff, I tell people it's like, it's not all about being a big strike king. Like, it's really not. As much as I would love to say it, it is not. Now, obviously, there's still the good population that is on staff because of the fact that they win tournaments and they do this and that and the other. But there's also the big part of the population that is on staff because of the fact that they make content, post pictures, make videos, even if it's 10-second videos, 2-minute, 3-minute, 4-minute, whatever length video. Like, the bowling community between Storm, Rotogrip 900, the brands of Brunswick, Motive, all these different companies, Big Bowling that just started up, Swag, who just got PBA approved. I mean, all these guys just want to see their product on a computer screen or on a cell phone screen. They want to see people clicking on their items.
Dude, how is it generating sales is how I really come to understand it. Like, are you helping create more sales?
Exactly. Are you improving the click-through rate of said bowling ball by just posting one picture? And I tell people, it's like, my analytics show it. Like, I literally put it down on paper. I started doing TikTok videos the moment I started saying bowlingworld.biz on TikTok videos, and those videos would get 15 to 20K views or more. Like, I have some that hit, I have a video that is over 1 million on one page, and then over 3 millions on the main Bowling World page, because I just started the Bowling World TikTok page. I tell people, it's like, if I say bowlingworld.biz on one of those videos, I guarantee you in the next 18 hours to 24 hours, we are going to see a spike in sales at the very least of like 10 to 20%. And and that's on top of our normal business that we get from people already knowing about our website. So capturing a new audience and being able to bring them into a certain product is big. And that's what companies want to see. So if you want to get on staff or you have aspirations to be on staff, obviously the big thing for most people is work with a pro shop. And that's what most companies want to see. As well as just be on social media, be social. Like, people want to see the online paper trail. As much as some people don't like being on social media or don't know where to start, it's just about simply posting a picture, simply posting a video. Don't know what happened to my camera.
Might have died. That's what it looks like.
I don't know. But it's simply about getting yourself out there and... Can you hear me still?
Yeah, I still hear you.
Okay. It's simply about putting yourself out there and making content. You don't have to be a big person in the striking world. You just have to be a big person about posting things daily and making yourself widely available to those people. Answer questions online. There's a bunch of Facebook fan group pages.
Yep.
There's the I don't know. There's the radical bowling pages. There's a whole bunch of different pages. So
Man.
all you gotta do is like get yourself out there and post more content. I think the camera's coming back on. Sorry. There it goes. Okay, yeah, I killed the battery. So
Yeah, that's what I
there you
figured
go.
out. Like,
Yeah, forgot that I gotta charge it separately. But yeah, no, it's just about putting yourself out there, making sure that people know who you are, not only by like you striking, but also just you talking about stuff, answering people's questions. Be knowledgeable. Be knowledgeable, answer people's questions, and just be widely available. Like, don't be limited to I'm just gonna post once a week about this ball, or I'm only gonna answer a question here and there. Like, answer everything, even if people think your questions or your answers are dumb. Like, I have people that literally post advice on a page and then like immediately say, "Oh, well, I got told this and that and the other by somebody else." Okay, man. Have a good day.
It's my idea.
And that's it. It's like, man, if you came here asking for advice, I gave you my advice. If you think it will work for you, it works for you. If you don't, it don't. Simple as it gets. And that's another thing is like people just need to know when to be upset over that kind of stuff and when not to. You can't really get upset over somebody not agreeing with you over the internet. It's just not reasonable, right?
It's not. But all right, boss, man, we've been on here for an hour.
Yeah.
A lot of good information. We got a lot of new bowling balls that just continue to come out.
Yeah.
I know, again, I have a Obsession Tour Pearl coming and Infamous coming. I talked to you about that one before.
Yeah.
I want to order.
Obsession Tour Pearl already on back order for the staff members, so that'll be. I'm pretty sure it's just production. Production is going to take a little bit these next couple weeks. So.
I figured that's another reason why I was like, let me hear get ordering. But anyway, the some of the social media handles, man, for the folks, man.
Okay, so for my personal ones, we have Patrick Two Hands on Instagram. We also have the Pantrick, so the PANTRCK on TikTok, as well as Twitch. I don't really stream on Twitch anymore, but I might start streaming here and there. And then you can mostly find me as well on Facebook. If you just go find me on Facebook, Patrick Martinez, just like it says right here. Just look me up on Facebook, add me. I add literally everybody, so go ahead, send me a friend request. And then for Bowling World, we have the Bowling World YouTube channel, the Facebook page, Instagram at McCorvey's Bowling World, as well as the new TikTok page that I just started this last month, which is just at Bowling World on TikTok, where I'm posting kind of snippets of what's going on in the shop on top of some recycled footage from YouTube, stuff like that. But to catch all the latest ball reviews, you can go to, again, youtube.com/bowlingworld, or you can also visit our website where we post a bunch of deals and stuff. Definitely something that we have going on. If you live in the Huntsville area of Alabama, we have a big like outlet store thing going on the 28th of this month. So if you live anywhere in Alabama or nearby the Huntsville location, go check it out. That's going to be a big thing. We're clearing out our warehouse basically is the plan. So tons of deals. The first 100 people, I think, or 150 people get like 15% off on their whole order, on top of the fact that there's already going to be a bunch of discounts out there. So make sure you guys check that out.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you, Sir Patrick, man, for getting on. Next week, we're gonna try to do it again. But appreciate you, boss, man, and everybody go follow him, subscribe, like all that good stuff, blow his page up. And Charles Hutcherson, man, and I'm out. All right, I'll catch you.
Peace out.